Hello and welcome to the AEG Home Cooking. First things first, I'm sorry that we are slightly late. Anyway, that said, thank you for joining, thank you for your patience, and I promise it's going to be worthwhile. Today we are making pizza. Pizza. Pizza is being searched for globally. Everyone's interested in making pizza. And I promise that today's pizza is going to be as simple as it is sumptuous to make. And joining me is Sebastian Gibrand, one of the best chefs in the world, and he's going to show us how. So without further delay, Sebastian, talk us through it. How is this going to be one of the best pizzas out there?
Thank you very much, Tom. This is going to be the best pizza in so many ways because it's simple, and also that we're using all the ingredients that we have in our pantry or in the refrigerator. So kind of what we have at home, so we don't need to go and buy some stuff. Now we've had some stuff that I have at home. So we're going to make a pizza bianco. So we're going to make with some sour cream, some leftover potatoes that I had for dinner last night, or I didn't have these ones, but I boiled a little bit more and learned some extra. Some asparagus that's in season. I think that we need to eat asparagus because when it's in season you should eat so as much as possible. Leeks, some Gruyere cheese, some very fine Valencian almonds, and some breadcrumbs that are made from leftover sourdough. So we're going to discuss a little bit about the flour and the importance of the flour in making a pizza and for the flavor.
Okay. So this is a mix of stuff that you might have hanging around in your cupboards, but also some fantastic quality ingredients as well. And you mentioned almonds from Valencia. Why are those so good?
I think they have a different flavor, a different texture than compared to other almonds. These are my personal favorites. So if you can get them, that's fine. That's the best. But you can also have hazelnuts, sunflower seeds, or regular almonds. It's kind of what you have at home or in your supermarket.
Okay, and I think the key thing is we make a base, and basically you can put whatever you want to on your pizza, depending on your taste. We're just giving you an example here. And if you have any views on what you want to see on a pizza, please write it in the comments field and let us know what you're thinking. What's the best taste? Also, any questions that you have. Sebastian, as I say, is one of the best chefs in the world. Don't hesitate to ask. Don't hesitate to ask if you're looking for alternatives, anything you have at home. Could you put it onto a pizza? Quite possibly. Anyway, I'm talking too much. Please, go ahead.
Yeah, let's get started. So I'm going to start with a little bit of water. Should I add to a bowl? And a little piece of yeast.
Yeast. You find that in shops everywhere, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. You can use the fresh one or dried. It's depending on what you can find. A little bit of sugar, like 2 pinches.
Sugar,
just to get it started.
but it's not a sweet. It's not a pancake, right?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
It just like helps it prove a little bit.
Okay.
So some salt, a little bit of olive oil, and I think I'm using a Novello. It's a little bit more pepper flavor. It's a little bit stronger. Just a dash of it, like this. Leave that one. And then to the most important part. A lot of people, when they do pizza, they have a flour. It's tipo nonno. It's like a strong flour, lots of gluten, and so make it a little bit more elastic with kind of lots of protein. Today we're going to use heirloom flour. So it's typical from Sweden with a little bit more of the grain and not just the inner parts of the wheat. So it's kind of more amino acids, more flavors. So we're just going to add that one.
I mean, you can find heirloom flour anywhere though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The most, and it's just like you can take all-purpose, tipo nonno. You kind of can use whatever flour you have or what you can get in your supermarket. But I try to find local ones with a lot of flavor.
Okay.
And then we're going to add my secret ingredient. I said I had leftover crumbles from a sourdough bread. What I've actually done is I've taken a mixer and blender and blend it to a flour. So we're going to add, instead of just all normal purpose flour, we're going to add a little bit of this, because then we get all the flavors from the sourdough bread. We get this richness and some color yeah, kind of depth in the dough that I think will go great to this recipe.
Before you add all of it, so you blend. These are breadcrumbs.
These are the breadcrumbs. I've taken a loaf of sourdough, bring it down to smaller pieces, and then I blend it, dry it, and then I blend it. It goes like this.
Okay.
And then you can take a sieve, or you just sieve it through. You will get this fine flour, like super light, almost like a normal wheat flour. Or you just like mix them a little bit longer to get this super fine powder.
So in a blender, how long am I looking at in terms of putting this together?
I would say approximately 1 minute for making the flour, so it goes super fast.
Okay.
But lots of flavor. Instead of adding spices, I think this is a perfect way of getting this richness to your dough. Okay,
so if you have any old bread hanging around, now you know what to do with it. You can add it to a pizza. Perfect.
And then I'm gonna do it in an assistant, just get it around and mix it a little bit. And then we're gonna do it by hand because we need to get these gluten moved in the pizza dough. So kind of easier to do it in hand, but start blending in the assistant.
Okay, and whilst he's blending, I'm going to take one of these almonds, right? So these almonds from Valencia, and apparently they're very special for their taste. This almond, I have to say, is fantastic. It tastes almost like ginger, and it's not something I would consider putting onto a pizza. Is this something that you do a lot of, or?
But I have a tendency, when I make pizza, I think now we're stepping out of, like, if you're talking to Italian, this is not pizza. This is kind of a flatbread with toppings. So this is my way of doing the toppings that I have home. And what I like to do is to use and work with textures. So we get the crispy bread on the dough. We use the asparagus and the potatoes to get some crunchiness, the savoriness from the onions, and they kind of add texture. I'm going to use the almonds and the breadcrumbs.
Okay. And could you use almonds? I mean, if you can't find Valencian, you can use any almonds.
You can use whatever. You can use sunflower seed, like I said, hazelnuts, pine nuts. It's all up to you and what you've got, and also like what kind of preference you have. Like I said, you can just use breadcrumbs or kind of other bigger chunks of bread, just to make that a little bit crispier and crunchy and adding more texture to it.
Okay. Okay, so this is that's making some sound. Is it ready? This is the AEG Home Cooking. We are making a fantastic pizza base today with a variety of toppings. A pizza bianco, that means without tomatoes, right?
Without tomatoes,
okay.
It's with some sour cream instead.
Okay, if you have a preference for a pizza, any toppings, let us know. If you have any questions for Sebastian, please write in and we will do our best to answer them. We have one of the best chefs in the world here making us a pizza, but it's going to be super simple to do and amazingly tasteful, I'm sure.
Okay, so the almonds are chopped, and I liked it quite rough because, like I said, we want this not as a topping of layers, we want the crispiness of the bite, so we're going to just chop it quite roughly. And then we're going to take the dough now and start preparing it.
So how long have you made the dough? That's been in there for what, 2 minutes? 1 minute?
About two minutes.
2 minutes.
So what we need to do is, like, normally you want to get this gluten going, so either you do it in an assistant for about 10 minutes, so we get started in this gluten. But it's very important, it could be easier to do it by hand in the end. I think because this dough is quite dry, we don't want to make it too wet, so that's why I do it by hand the last way. So as you can see, it's still some flour like this, so now we're going to work it into the dough. And what I do is I take the dough and I just kind of press it forward and then fold it back. Press it forward, fold it back. So that's kind of just like repeat that motion.
How long do I do that for?
Until it's fully incorporated, about like 5 minutes.
Okay.
I'm going to make it a little bit easier today. And then kind of just like stirring all the excess flour and everything. So, and if you feel it should be a little bit wet, you could just add a little bit more water or a little bit of more olive oil if you need it. And if it's too wet, just add a little bit of more flour.
So all of these bits that are falling off, you want to have them integrated into the main part of the base, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so kind of has to just like push forward and move it back. Just like, I don't think I have everything in. I have a tendency of like taking the dough, just get all of it in, and then just like give it one more. And I fold it a little bit, like I form it into a round shape. And then we're gonna leave it here in a bowl. What we can do is just add a little bit of olive oil on the edges so it doesn't stick.
Does that add to the flavor, or is it just to stop it from sticking?
It's more for sticking because
Okay.
we already got the olive oil inside of the dough.
Okay.
So you're just gonna do it, like I said, 2 minutes in the assistant and then by hand for about 5 minutes. So now we do it a little bit faster because we want this gluten to get started. Pop it in. And then we're just gonna add a little bit of dough, a towel, and leave it to prove for about 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours.
We don't have that much time. So what's the answer to that?
The answer to that is like, I'm a professional TV chef, so we've already made one. So it's kind of, as you can see, Tom, so it proved to about twice the size. And it should be like, when you press it like this, it should be like making some small holes in the dough. Kind of see like maybe in this one, and then it should rise again.
And that was 2 hours, or it should have been 2 hours.
This should be 2 hours. So we
Okay.
just fast forward it a little
Yep.
bit. So 2 seconds is actually 2 hours.
And
in
putting
this
that
case.
cloth on the top is absolutely essential, or?
I think because otherwise you would dry it out. So this is just making sure that it's not too dry on the top, because
Okay.
otherwise we will kind of get a crust on it.
So a simple but effective tip. Okay, thank you.
We'll just add a little bit of flour on top of the board. I'm just gonna take it out. As you can see here now, you got these air bubbles. It's a little bit, if you compare it to this one, it's dried a little bit.
Yeah.
It would have been a lot drier if it wouldn't be for the towel. So we're just gonna add this one.
Okay. And do you, I mean, pizza, do you have a particular favorite yourself? Where's the best pizza you've ever had or tried?
The best pizza I've ever tried, it's actually been in Italy,
Yep.
of course,
Okay.
and in Neapel. It's that's kind of their, I think that's the where you should have the pizza, and that's my favorite. But I've also had some great actually here in Sweden, in the US. It's like kind of in US. Do you know what the name for pizza is?
No, please tell me.
They call it pie.
Pie. Okay.
So it's kind of, I actually went for street food to New York once, and we went around across the city to have the best pie or the best pizza.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're going to divide this dough into 4 pieces.
And why are you doing this?
Just about divide it because this recipe is for 4 people.
Okay.
So one of these are for one person. So we can just start making it into a round shape.
So are these going to be mini pizzas, or you put them all together? Or,
They're going to be like quite big.
Okay.
As big as they get. It shouldn't be like a normal size that you get in the pizza. Like a little bit smaller, but still quite big.
Okay. So if you're just joining us, this is the AEG Home Cooking. We are making pizza, and the reason we're making pizza is because we look at all of the search trends around the world to see what the most popular dishes are that are being searched for. Pizza is peaking. Pizza is peaking really high. That's why we're making a variation of pizza. Please tell us if you have a specific flavor or toppings that you prefer, or if you have any questions for Sebastian, please don't hesitate to write in the comments field. And now you're still rolling these pizza balls, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a little bit slippery, this surface, so it's not super easy to make these round balls.
But would you normally do it on a cutting board, or?
You can do it
Yeah.
on a cut, but normally I do it like on a wood surface, because then it sticks a little bit easier. So kind of just like fold it, because we're gonna make it rounder later on, so like this. We save this one for later. You can also just do it like this to fold it in. Okay, so we're just gonna start with making one pizza. I'm gonna take this one, a little bit more flour. And then we're going to see if it's possible to make it by hand. Otherwise, I got the rolling pin. I think I'm going to use the rolling pin, just like divide it like this.
And why have you put the flour on the base there on the countertop? Why did you do that?
Just to make sure it doesn't stick
Okay.
in the countertop. And then we're going to just press them down like this. Just make sure that you got a little bit of flour on top.
Okay.
Normally, I take the back side of my knife and just take it like this. Okay, what we're going to do now is we're going to leave these for about 15 minutes. Because what happens is when we're going to make it thinner, it gets easier to get it thin.
Okay.
So we just leave that one.
And do you you prefer thinner type pizza to the thicker type crust?
For this recipe, I like it when I use this with the ingredients with the asparagus. I want a light pizza, not too heavy. So that's why I'm using a thinner crust.
Okay. And if you were making this a gluten-free alternative, I mean, presumably that's fine, right? I mean, you could have gluten-free flour or...
You can have gluten-free flour, but you won't be able to make these gluten. So it's kind of get a shorter dough. So you kind of need to, you can't really stretch it out. So you need to just combine it and then roll it with the rolling pin.
Okay.
Okay, we've already started with these gonna leave for 15 minutes so it gets a little bit easier to get them thinner. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna start slicing the asparagus and the potatoes.
So these potatoes are ones that you took out of the fridge. These are something that you'd had before, or did you boil them especially for this occasion?
I did this for yesterday, so I knew that we were going to make the pizza today. So I just made some extra. So to make sure that if I didn't eat them all yesterday, I had some for today.
Okay, that's great. So if you have some potatoes at home, you don't know what to do with them, you could add them to a pizza as a topping. And everything that we're doing here is used of a mix of things that we found in the refrigerator, but also adding some specific ingredients that are the creme de la creme, I think it's fair to say. So these are Valencian almonds, and if you're just joining us, this is the AEG Home Cooking. We are learning how to make fantastic pizza with Sebastian, and I'm really looking forward to sampling it at the end. If you have any questions for us, please don't hesitate to put them in the comments field.
These are just my favorite. During this time of the season, the asparagus is in the best taste, best flavor. I think everything in season is actually the best you could ever get. So that's why I want to use this one and also make a lighter pizza. But it's up to you to show you, and please let us know what are your favorite toppings for pizza and how should you make it, thin or a thicker crust. So I just chop these ones up and smaller like this, and then I take a little bit of a leek. The same thing, a little bit thinner slices.
And you're using these because you think the combination of flavors is good, or you just...
I love this combination. I think it's leeks and potatoes. It's vichyssoise soup. It's probably the best soup you could have, and super cheap. We kind of have this cheap ingredients, and then we buy the asparagus because it works very well with the potatoes and the leeks.
I have to say I've never had this combination of pizza toppings before, so I'm really curious as to about how it's going to taste. I'm sure it's going to be fantastic.
But one of my favorites is actually the potato. I think it's so good in making pizza, and some people will probably say it's not made for pizza, but hey, that's how I like it, and I think everybody has their own opinion on pizza. So I think you should stick with the ones you like. So I like this one. If you don't like asparagus, you could change it to something else. It's kind of just the base and the dough that we're explaining here today.
So how much more time is this going to take? I mean, it hasn't taken so long so far, but what do we have to do now?
Okay, so the time is a little bit, I said 15 minutes. We're a little bit faster today. So I'm going to start rolling these ones out and finishing off with the toppings. And then we're also gonna bake it.
Okay.
So I will get started. Just gonna need to clean a little bit. I'm not used to making a mess like this. It's kind of a habit of cleaning.
So clean as you go. Is that a good tip?
I think that's the easiest way. If you clean during the time that you're making the food, it's easier in the end.
Okay.
So you don't just like make a big mess, and you just start all over. So now we start with the flour again. So now a little bit faster than I said, 15 minutes, but this is fine enough. So you just need to rest a little bit before we take the rolling pin. So now we've been rested for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes, maybe.
Is there any special tip to using a rolling pin? I'm sorry if that sounds like a silly question, but...
No, but it's actually not. It's like, of course, you're going to have some flour on it if the dough is too sticky. And also, like, I kind of do it back and forward, and then I rotate it like 45 degrees. There's a lot of people saying like, oh, you made it so round, so 45 degrees, and then just start. And then you could leave it, rest a little bit, start with the next one. And if you want to make it by hand, you just do it like this and fold it and press it on the outside. Sometimes you use the edge of the, what was the name?
Counter.
The counter. So it kind of falls down and makes it bigger. But today we're going to use the rolling pin. So just leave it to rest a little bit, and then you can start with the second one. Because that's also what's going to happen is the gluten is going to set, and so it's easier to, otherwise it will like shrink, and it makes it harder to get it round and flat.
Okay, we are getting some questions. Let's have a look. Bredden, Norway. He's got the same oven as we have. That's a great choice, I have to say, an AEG oven. Well done. What setting do you use?
Now I'm using my own settings. Put it on 230 degrees with a pizza stone. But there are actually, if you want to make it a little bit easier, there's some assistant cooking. So there is a pizza program into this in the oven.
So as high as it will go, 230?
230.
Okay. So thank you for the question. Please keep them coming in if you want to know how to make a perfect pizza. Yeah, we're actually getting close. It's taking shape, and now we can see the fruits of your labor coming together.
Yeah, pizza is another thing. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I was a little bit excited, but also a little bit of terrified. It's like normally I've been cooking savory food, but pizza is something I normally just go and buy. But it's so super simple. If I can make it, everybody else could.
There's nothing to be terrified about. I mean, you look like you're doing a great job. And I have to say, you've inspired me to do a few of the dishes that we've been cooking before. We have viewers from Russia, Greece, welcome. The first time you guys have joined us live. We've also got viewers in the Nordics, UK, Spain. And if you've seen us before, you'll have seen that Sebastian's made a range of dishes, super tasty, but fantastically, I guess, simple to put together. And I've been trying them at home, and I have to say, the tips you're giving me really helped me make my performance in the kitchen better. So again, welcome if you're just joining us. The AEG Home Cooking, we're learning how to make perfect pizza.
Okay, so the first pizza is done. So it should look... It's very hard to get it super round, but I think that's also made it so it looks a little bit of homemade.
Yeah.
It's also because of the dough that we have this flour made out of the breadcrumbs. It doesn't get that elastic. It makes it a little bit harder to get it super, super round. What I've done is I add a little bit of flour on top of the dough, because now we're going to put on some sour cream. Huh. And do you know why I put some flour on?
Please tell me.
Okay, this is a trick that we have. It's because if we put this in the oven without, it might be too thin or it will run over. Now the flour makes it thickened, so it gets thicker out of the flour.
Okay, so sprinkling flour on the top is like the way that you finish it off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we do just some sour cream. You could have a ricotta, double cream, bechamel sauce if you would like. But this is just like, for me, it's the most simple way of doing it.
I have to say I've been waiting all day. I haven't had any lunch because one of the perks of this job is getting to try Sebastian's food after he's made it, and I'm really looking forward to it, and this is coming together. And you've really put a smile on my face, I have to say.
I'm glad I made it.
No.
Okay, so what we're gonna do is just gonna add a little bit of cheese. So first the sour cream, and then just a little bit. I don't like too much cheese on top of it, so I have a very fine grater.
What type of cheese is this?
This cheese is a Gruyere cheese,
Okay.
Cow's milk, but you could use Parmesan cheese. You could have fior di latte. That's like probably the most normal one, but this have a lot of flavor that I think go well together with the asparagus and the potatoes.
Okay.
You leave it like this, and then I'm starting with the potatoes. And as you can see, some people takes the skin off. I think it's very nice to still have it on because it's more flavor, more nutrition.
Okay.
And then just like,
Now I can understand why you started with the sour cream and then the cheese, but everything else you can just pop on as you wish. Or...
yeah, now I have the potatoes, and we're
Yeah.
going to use the leeks. You could use if you need some salami or sausage, like a ragu or something. You could add whatever you want: paprika, bell pepper, everything. So these are just my favorites and what I got at home. So you can have olives. It's up to you.
Okay. So this is the AEG home cooking. We've taken a pizza base, learn how to make it from scratch, and now we're adding the ingredients that we have in the store cupboard, in the fridge. Also a few creme de la creme ingredients, I should say, with these Valencian almonds. And basically, the only limit is what you have in your fridge and your imagination. So that base can have anything on it. That's what I'm learning. You don't have to stick to a regimented set of ingredients.
I think the most important thing when you come to cooking is like you have to make your own favorites. You can't do what everybody else expected of you or what everybody else likes. I think a lot of people, when you have people over as well, it's like you're always going to serve like the pizza or the food that you enjoy the most, because I think that everybody else would love it as well, same as you. So make your favorites. That's my tip for everybody. Okay, so this is going to go into the oven.
And what is this? What is this you have underneath? Is this a regular tray? No. What?
This is kind of a spatula like I bought for home cooking, for cooking pizzas at home. So as you can see, probably this is the better angle. Just like put everything on, leave some for the edges, potatoes, sour cream, some cheese, and asparagus and leek. So this is gonna pop it in the oven, and then we're gonna finish it off with the crust and the almonds later, because these need to be cooked, and then we're adding the extra.
Okay. So this oven is set at 230 degrees, the highest it will go, and we're gonna wait for this to. Will it rise up much or?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a little bit.
So everything will cook within the next 7 to 8 minutes. And now, when we started this, a slight hint of disappointment because I want to have tomatoes on my pizza, and you've made a pizza bianco or white pizza, no tomatoes. Perhaps you also share that disappointment. You want to see a pizza with tomatoes on it. What do you have to say about that?
It's a good question, because I know it's a divider. It's like some people say you need to have tomato sauce and lots of cheese. You shouldn't go for this version. You always like the pizzas in the weekends, or if you've been just Greece. But so of course I made a special one for you. So I already made a tomato sauce, because
Okay.
I knew this could be a divider. So just making sure that we cover all our bases.
Perfect. That's good. Fantastic. I'm sure others will agree. In fact, others may disagree. And that's the main thing about this. We're making a base where you can have a variety of ingredients on whatever you can find at home. Make your own with the ingredients you have left over, perhaps some dishes that you've served the previous day. Bring in some different things just to round off the flavors. And what are we going to do now? We're going to do something with tomato and what else?
Tomato and some ham.
Okay.
From what I've heard, you really enjoy this ham, so I'm gonna add that one for later. So before we bake the pizza, if you have the ham in the refrigerator, take it out. So it needs to get a little bit warm, so we get more flavor, more taste out of it. So I'm gonna make one for you, Tom, with some tomato sauce.
Is there anything special about this tomato sauce? Did you add anything to it? What's the trick to a good tomato sauce?
The best tomato sauce is made out of tomatoes from San Marzano. So that's like the most common one. When everybody talks about the tomato sauce, it's San Marzano tomatoes.
Okay.
So it's plum tomatoes, but you could use the tomatoes that you got at home or you can buy in the supermarket. Just thinly chop some garlic, put it in a pan together with olive oil, and then just like make them golden, saute them so they are like transparent. And then we add the tomatoes, maybe some fresh basil, and then we boiled it I boiled this one for a couple of hours, just like very, very low heat. So we get these concentrated flavors of tomatoes.
Now, Sebastian has such an influence on me. I was saying tomato. I should be saying tomato. I would say tomato regularly. Tomato is my favourite. Perhaps you have your own favourite. Please let us know what it is. If you have any questions for us, please drop us a line. Sebastian is one of the best chefs in the world, and he's here to answer your questions if you have them. This is the AG Home Cooking, and we're getting pretty close to the end of trying some of the best pizza in Sebastian's opinion. I'm sure I'm going to agree. So yeah, great.
Yeah, hopefully. So this is my version with tomato sauce, and some people just like take the cheese in the bottom. Now I'm going to just add a little bit because I like with the tomatoes with the cheese, get a little bit more flavor and color on it. And for this one, I'm going to grate a little bit of more cheese for you, Tom, because I know that's the way you like it.
I do. It's good. Yeah.
So it looks like a bunch, but this microplane that we were using is actually making it quite airy, the cheese. So it looks more than it is.
Sorry, a microplane. Is that
this
what
is a micro grater called microplane.
Okay.
Not sponsored, but
Okay.
it's like very, very nice to add it. And I'm also going to add it in the end for the both of the pizzas to top it up, because now we get like some people they have tomatoes in the bottom, just melted cheese. I'm going to show you how I like to do it, because I like this fluffiness and airiness. Like when you eat the pizza, you get the flavors of the newly grated cheese, and then you got the melted one in the bottom. So two different ways of grating the cheese and adding more cheese. An excuse of adding more cheese.
So having this piece of kit is quite important.
I think just for making this like lighter grated cheese, I think that's very important. But if you just have a normal grater, that's good enough. But you might get a little bit of thicker chunks of cheese.
Okay.
But if you just want to have it melted in the bottom, it's fine with a more rough one. But this is just like making a finer, like a powder for the pizza.
Okay. Does that help with the cooking as well, or is just the taste and the texture?
It's both for cooking, because sometimes you need to have a little bit of a lighter cheese, not too much. So that's why it's nicer to have these thin slices.
Okay. I have to say that the smells coming from the oven are absolutely fantastic. It smells like it's getting ready. How much more time do I have to wait before I can sample it? Do you think?
I think it's about 3 to 4 minutes.
Okay, so
3 minutes.
3 minutes and we'll be able to taste Sebastian's pizza. I'm really looking forward to it. That's the best bit for me, is the taste. The proof is in the tasting. Yeah. And of course sharing it with you.
Okay, so making it ready for the next one. So what we've done is just like we have the potatoes, leeks, asparagus, and now we're gonna add, when it's done, the crumble, almonds, some rocket salad, and then we're gonna have a little bit of lemon zest and squeezed lemon on top of the pizza, because this pizza we would like to have, I would like to have it fresh. And then for your pizza, Tom, we're gonna add some mozzarella. So bake it off a little bit, then adding the mozzarella and bake it a little bit further. But we're gonna start with my version. So it's just need a little bit of a second more.
I don't want you to misunderstand me. I mean, I'm perfectly happy to try your pizza as well.
Yeah, but now we're gonna have it and try it. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's the fun part about pizza. You can make your own individual flavors. So you could add, if I want asparagus and you have tomatoes at home, you can make both of them because we've made the base. It's
Yeah.
the same with the dough and everything. It's gonna be, so it's kind of, you can all choose to make like a small portion of the asparagus for me, and maybe the tomatoes for you. And if some other family member, we can do a third one alternative as well. And sometimes you like to mix all of them. So variety in what you have at home is so different.
Okay. Could you cook more than one at once, or is it just one at a time? You can't.
Now I cook one because
Yeah.
I only have one stone. But if you don't have a stone, you could actually have the backside of a. Yeah, exactly. We have one more, but it needs to be preheated. So half an hour before you're going to use the oven, put the stone in so it gets really warm. Because we want to bake it underneath. And if you don't have a stone, you can have, what's the name of the
Tray?
the tray?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just turn it upside down if it's not flat. You can use that one. It's better than nothing. So you could actually make like maybe two pizzas at once, but it's always best to do like one. And also it's better to serve it straight away when it's done.
Okay. So this is a pizza stone that you brought into the studio, but is there anything special about it? I mean, it looks like a tile to me.
This is actually a tile. It's made neolith, so it's a kind of a compressed material, but it looks like a stone. So you could use a stone or like, what is it, like a tile.
Okay. So I could go to a builder's supply shop and get a tile
You
like this?
can, but it's
Yeah.
better to buy one a real stone that fits in the oven. That
Okay.
takes up the space. But if you have one at home, you can use it. And but the best way is a stone because it gets a little bit warmer.
Okay. So, I mean, that's an interesting tip. I'm going to try that one too, especially the flipping of the oven tray. Yeah, I have to give you a full report on all of the dishes that you've taught me, so that or even better, I will make them for you.
That would be amazing. Okay, we're gonna let's start with having the other one in the oven.
So, if you're just joining us, this is the AEG Home Cooking. We're learning how to make perfect pizza. The oven is set at 230 degrees, as high as it will go. And how long? Now you've put in a different type of pizza. Is this going to be about 7 minutes, or is the time changing?
No, it's going to be the same. So
Okay.
7 to 10 minutes. So I want this recipe for a flat and a very thin pizza. We baked it with the olives and the asparagus and the leeks. And now we're just going to finish it off with a little bit of olive oil. Just a pinch of salt. And some black pepper. And here it comes to the best part. We do a little bit of crumble, so we get some texture on top of it.
So this is the sourdough crumble that you had left over from some old bread.
Exactly,
Yeah.
so we just made a bigger crumble. And that's also why it's not so rising. It's because of the old flour from the bread. It also makes it a little bit thinner. Almost like a tarte flambé. That's a thin pizza.
Sorry, a tap flambé.
Tarte flambé.
Okay, a flambé tart.
It's a
Okay.
pizza from France.
All right.
So if you say pie in the US,
Yeah.
you say tarte flambé in France.
Oh,
And then we add the almonds,
it's all coming together.
some rocket salad, and I think this is very important to use the rocket or whatever herb you would like to have in the end, so it doesn't get baked, because then it won't be so nice. Just before you serve it.
It's quite a mix of flavours you have here. Is there no danger of one overwhelming the other, or?
I think that these go very well together, and it's actually the same palette, because we have the potatoes, the almonds, and kind of the earthy flavors from the asparagus and the leek. Add the rocket because that's like pepper, and the green is going to increase the green flavors of leeks and the green flavors from the asparagus. It kind of works very well together. And then just to make it a little bit fresher, we used the lemon to just top it off.
Almost coming to the end. I have to say, it smells fantastic. That variety of flavour.
Just a little bit of lemon just before you serve it. So you need to be quite quickly now for serving it. And then finish off with some grated cheese.
More cheese.
This is my absolute favorite, to grate some cheese in the end.
Okay. But it doesn't melt in.
It's gonna melt a little bit, but then you get two textures of cheese. That's what I talked about, textures. From the almonds and from the asparagus and the breadcrumbs. Now we got some melted cheese in the bottom, and then some freshly grated cheese on top of it. So that's it, Tom.
And how would you serve this? Like on a just plates like this, or
either you serve it just on the spoon or on a cutting board, just cut it up and then just like get it to the table and eat it as fast as possible with your fingers. I think that pizza should be eaten by hand.
Okay, so we're going to eat it by hand, but if we can't finish it, can you stick it in the fridge and serve it later, or heat it up, or?
You can do it this one, but I would take like the rocket salad off,
Yeah.
and maybe you just do the base. You can also freeze it if you want, and just like kind of made it all the way before we put it in the oven. You could freeze it or have it in the refrigerator, but then add the rest of the stuff later. So if you have some leftovers, of course you can eat it, but the quality of the rocket salad won't be that nice the day after. Then you can just take away and add it later.
Okay. So trying is believing. I'm going to take this piece here. It looks fantastic. I'm going to try it, and it smells delightful with the lemon. Remarkable, because all of those different textures and flavors mixed together. I mean, this again, it tastes absolutely fantastic. Wonderful with that mix of potato, the nuts, the vegetables, and especially the lemon and the salt. A real kick. I love it. It's fantastic. Thank you.
It's a little bit of fresher version, and instead of these greasy pizzas you normally do. So this is just my favorite, and especially like during the summer. I really like it.
Okay, we have a question from Johannes about the olive oil. Is there any specific olive oil, anything specific that we should know about using the different types of oil available?
There's a variety of olive oils. I think the cheaper ones that you get and find in the market is the one you should have when you fry stuff, like in a frying pan or just like adding to soups or anything else. But if we want to have some olive oil that we're going to finish off like a salad, then you need to have something like a novello. That's like the first harvest of the season. It's very rich. It's like green, it's grassy, and a lot of pepper. So it works very well with the rocket, the leeks, and the asparagus, and also the black pepper. So that's the one I try to do on salads and dressings, and the cheaper one when you fry it.
Okay, so the better the quality of the olive oil, the better the taste when it comes to the pizza.
I say you use a better olive oil in the end.
Yeah.
Slightly cheaper version you do in the beginning of the cooking. So it's kind of cheaper beginning, more expensive, nicer ones in the end.
Okay, and that's true for everything, not just pizza.
No, exactly. It's for everything.
Okay.
But I always like to have it on top of serving it like this. It gets this freshness and also the olive oil, the grease.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Sebastian.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are now coming to the end. I mean, this tastes absolutely fantastic. This is another dish that I am going to have to try at home. They're stacking up. We have done so many. Let's see if we have any more questions. No, we don't have any more questions, but if you have anything that you want to ask Sebastian, anything that you want to know, please don't hesitate to write in the comments, or join us next week. We're going to be making another dish next week. And yeah, thanks. This tastes absolutely fantastic. And yeah, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thank you, Tom. Yeah. And we will soon see which one will be your favorite. That will be for the after text, and maybe next week we will have the winner. This pizza or the tomato one. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.